Now on GlassGoat.com. Hey Speckles, do you mind? You're making a lot of noise. You can... Speckles, you're killing me. What are you doing? Bring me that thing. Drop it right here. Thank you. We don't need that noise right now. Oh my goodness. Episode 7 is brought to you by the Wooden Boat Experience Winter Shirt Campaign from GlassGoat. This shirt, and even this sweatshirt right here are all available now on GlassGoat.com. Very limited quantities because they're hard to make, and each one is created and sewn on by me. You can see how they're made over on our Patreon page. Video available now. Very limited quantities of these shirts. Thanks, Beck. That's just what I needed right now. A ball. You nut. That is not the way that's supposed to work. Didn't hit you, did I, Speck? Didn't hit the boat. I think we're okay, buddy. Before we see what happened this week around the boat shed, let's jump back to September 5th through 12th and see some of the things you may have missed. We're going to do this in a thing called looking back. We're not going to do it in any particular order, but there's a lot of footage shot this summer, and you don't know what happened, and it's a good time to catch up. My earliest memory is riding in my grandfather's boat, arm over the side, hand in the spray. I've spent much of the rest of my life chasing this feeling. All of that has led to this. The Wooden Boat Experience. David Daly and his dad stopped to visit, so I put him to work. First, we moved the engine forward a bit to solve a clearance problem we had with the transmission and the oil pan. We lifted Unbeknownst up to get it off of the trailer and back on the stands. Trailer is out. The boat is back in place. Now we'll start messing with getting the motor in the right spot, getting everything taken care of, and try to drop this thing in the water before winter comes. Thanks David Daly and Dan for helping me out and getting the trailer out of here. Also this week, I took the old dash apart to reuse those gauges. Got a little issue here. There's a little bit of flex, I hope you can see that, on this side. The other side's got a brace. So we're going to take this piece of aluminum right here, and we're going to create a little brace that doesn't interfere with the steering cable, which actually goes up there a little more, the gauges, the switches, etc. So let's get on this dash and do a little bit of messing around. This screw here is particularly annoying. It's my own fault because I put it there. So I'm figuring out a new way to put it in. Little speed wrench, a Frearson bit, and I ought to be able to get that screw in there so I can finish putting these ceilings on. With these old numbers added, it's sure that I won't forget what year the boat is. We're getting closer here, but you can see there's still quite a bit to go. If I can get it on there, there we go. So I'm taking it a little bit at a time, and I'm using this flexible wheel here. You just have to be super, super careful. I'm probably grinding
with this for maybe 10 seconds at the most, being very careful not to concentrate on the edge too much because this thin part will heat up really fast. And every time I'm cooling it down, being patient, coming back. I've probably ground this so far like 20 times at least, maybe 25, and we're still not there. Still got a ways to go.
Always adding K100 when gassing up in all my engines. Enough of the past, now on to the present. I worked on the skiff house, removing part of the wall, so I have a little bit more room to pull skiffs in here. Now I gotta add a door to the other end. Okay, it's steaming. Let's load the rest of these in. Gonna give these bigger ones at least an hour. That won't be any problem because we'll be working on the skinny ones. Want to have a little boat shed envy? Take a look at this place. The framing was all created with hand tools. What a great place. Owned by Dan Miller.
Eu disse a filha como é que vai ser. Ela disse não sei o que fazer. Vem pra cá. Bota ela no avião que eu durmo no chão. Fica calma, não tem pressa.
All right, we just got done steam bending. And look what came. Total boat. Getting a little low on some things. I gotta get lower.
Acordou de manhã, sentou-se na mesa, olhou para mim com a cara surpresa. E o café.
So thank you, Total Boat. Awesome. Can't wait to use all this stuff. Some of you may have seen the live feed we did the other day as we met the new Boatwright, Mike Gorman, at the Antique Boat Museum. If not, watch it up here, I think. There's a link in the upper right-hand corner. Now let's look at SNOOK, the Chris craft we saw during that live feed.
Uma longa lição sobre democracia. Enquanto isso eu pensava, por que não divide a pia? Quando eu vi no aeroporto, no seu rosto um desgosto X. Será que é pra mim? Não vou me precipitar. Paciência é uma ciência, o tempo vai descobrir. Lá, lá, ia, lá, ia, lá, ia, lá, lá, lá. Lá, ia, lá, ia, lá, ia, lá, ia, lá, lá, ia.
No, but it's not its original name, and then its middle name, I should say, was called Nor'easter, K-N-O-R-R, and I forget what that famous guy, why it was called that, and then it went to be SNOOK afterwards.
It looks
so
pretty.
I will say this thing was just scanned and documented by the Department of Interior. We just had Todd Curto and his team from Habs Hair, Historic Engineering Record. And so they're going to develop a set of plans for this. They photographed every inch of it, and so this, the way it is right now, has been fully documented inside and out. And then those plans and those structural spacings and everything will be used for the restoration as well. But it's a bad thing, but I mean, look at this thing. I mean, there's a story here.
Yes, it hit something pretty hard there, didn't it?
And you can see it's shuttered back. So
yeah, it's pushed, and the sides are popped.
All these things have been documented and will go in a permanent documentation.
I'd love to see the 3D drawing of that hanging fiberglass piece. All right, to clear the exhaust, I need to have this part taken out of this floor frame member. So what I'm going to do is clamp this chunk of 2x4 to here to give something for the centering bit on this hole saw to go into. Probably help if I had electricity over here. Oh yeah, this bench isn't too much of a mess, is it? That ought to work. You don't want to overheat these hole saws up. Take your time. You don't want to see smoking. I'd rather not get that thing in there too deep. So you can see what happened here. We got what we wanted out of here, sacrificed this. We didn't go all the way through, but what I'm going to do right now is run a drill bit through here so I know where the center is on the other side, flip it over and finish. All right, we put the hole in there. You can see it's right there. That will line up with the centering drill, and we'll finish this cut up. So obviously, we got that piece out of there. We must be done. This is kind of handy. These Lennox hole saws have this little part here where you can pry. They've got 1, 2, 3 spots where you can pry that out with a screwdriver or something. That's actually a pretty good little thing. Because sometimes those things get stuck in there, depending on what kind of wood and how wet it is. So that's not a bad looking relief. Slightly oversized, matched up pretty good. I'll give that a little sand. Always scary drilling a hole in your transom. What the heck? Maybe I'm not drilling a hole in the transom. The drill in there. Drop this rudder down a touch. Oh, it's always something, isn't it? I see light. We must have made it through. All right, here goes nothing. You know what? I might need a new battery. Hello in there. Now we're making a little piece to go on the inside of the transom that the exhaust pipe goes through. So 3/4 of an inch plus, whoops, this piece right here. It'll stay in place. So we got about 1 5/8 inches of wood. Plus we want it to come out here about 3 inches.
So 4 5/8. Now let's figure out how far we want it outside. Well, we want to make sure we just place any area that could collect water and just hold it. Even though this is going to be around the water, it's still a good idea to bed things. So some life caulk in here and bed this ring for the exhaust. Why did I grab this cheap caulk gun? The ones that without the mechanical advantage are so bad, especially because my hands bother me now. Let me grab something to smooth this out a little bit. What I don't want is a huge amount squirting out the edges in this case. So I got it on here fairly thin. That ought to work pretty well. I've got it marked, the little pencil line where my top is, because these holes do not seem to be exactly in the same spot all the way around. Chrome was in pretty bad shape on this ring, and I actually prefer the bronze, especially once it gets some weather to it, a little patina. I'm not worried about being judged in a show on this boat. And we're getting a little squish there, which is good. It means that it's filling that whole space between right in. We got squish all the way around. Excellent. Now you can see here, well maybe you can't, but I had to split this because, let me grab the original. For some reason they only sell these in this size, which you can see is huge, but this is the same one. I just cut a section, I don't know how much, about that much out of the bottom, cut like here and here, took that piece out and then brought it together. There's a seam right there, and it works very well that way, and it actually recommends that you do that. So we have exhaust. Well, things are starting to come together back here. Yeah, flapper, exhaust, hooked up on the inside. Steering, just waiting for a couple of bolts to arrive. Rudder support is in. Dry fit, of course, it's not painted yet. Got to add a brace on the corner of that, that right there, the board that's supporting the strut. I've got to make that exhaust so it sits and doesn't move around, but I did relieve that frame rail there. And next I got to deal with this transmission cooler and the coolant, and then start up to the dash. Where is the dash? Where's my finger? Right there. And start wiring it up. Be able to test these mechanicals pretty soon. Lots of little things like safety wiring, those bolts there on the shaft. Just a lot of little things like that, but Gary's gonna help me with that stuff.